Welcome to the Sea Morning Show Star Party. Let's start with Aquila. Aquila is a constellation on the celestial equator. It represents the bird that carried Zeus or Jupiter's thunderbolts in Greek Roman mythology. Andromeda, located in the northern celestial hemisphere, and it is the most prominent during autumn evenings in the northern hemisphere. It is one of the largest constellations with an area of 722 square degrees. Sculpture is a faint constellation in the southern sky. It is a small constellation bordered by Aquarius and Cetus to the north. Ara is a southern constellation between Scorpius, Telescopium, Triangulum Australe, and Norma. Libra is located in the southern celestial hemisphere. It is fairly faint with no first magnitude stars and lies between Virgo to the west and Scorpius to the east.
All right.
Wasn't that mesmerizing,
Yeah,
Tommy?
soothing. Also hearing all the information by the HAAJ astronomy community, and it's really informed us the various unique stars across the universe.
Yes, and we're going to talk more about the universe with Muhammad Rezky and Fernanda Putra Pratama from the HAAJ astronomy community. So good morning.
Good morning, guys. Come on,
Please
let's
come
join
on
us
in.
here. Hello, Rezky, Fernanda. Okay, nice to meet
Thank
you all.
you for being here. Please do take a seat. And you just presented to us or showed us,
Yeah.
brought us on a journey exploring the vast universe. And this is also part of their community, HAAJ.
That's true.
Himpunan Astronomi Amatir Jakarta, where they constantly track new celestial events, share awesome inspiring images, and also they will discuss the latest astronomical discoveries as well.
But before we start, we want to extend our deepest condolences for the passing of the HAAJ Chief Advisor, as well as Jakarta Planetarium and Observatory astronomer, Mr. Widya Sawitar. All right, guys, before we start with the technical questions maybe, but how did you get into this? Like, what things that brings you actually interested into astronomy?
Okay. So for myself, the amount of sci-fi movies that I watched in my childhood
Yes.
sort of encouraged me to wonders about the universe. Like, for example, Interstellar, where we
Oh, I
can
love
see the astronauts going to the black holes and time traveling. Yeah, and it sparks the interest to astronomy for me.
How about you, Rezky?
Okay, so for me, the first thing about astronomy that I learned is in high school, because I also joined the Olympiad for the high school students, but I only goes until the provincial level. But I really get interested in that and want to study it further. So I took the class in my bachelor and master's degree, and that's where I am right now, and I'm still loving astronomy until now.
You're still loving astronomy up until now, and now you're sharing the love with your community as well, HAAJ. How did you both first heard of this community, and how has it also helped you as astronomers, especially in the discussion, and also because you mentioned before you love astronomy since childhood. How has this community helped grow your love?
Okay. So I had a similar experience with Rezky. So one time I visited Planetarium Jakarta to observe the solar eclipse, and there I met the people from HAAJ, and I started joining their activity when I was in high school.
Oh, what about you?
Yeah, I think if you ask also our another members, most of us will say that the Jakarta Planetarium is our first spot to know HAAJ, because they are locating there and they are interacting with the public actively. And for me, I interact with them first time when we have like some sort of training for the provincial Olympiad. And there I meet the people that have specialized in different things of astronomy, and also maybe the things that you might not correlate it with astronomy first, like ethnoastronomy, computational astronomy. And there we have some kind of regular meetings, and that's when the love grows for me.
And how long have you been a member of the community? Because this community has been around since 40 years ago.
Yes.
And what about both of you?
So for me, I think it's since 2013, 12. So it's
More than 10 years already.
Yeah, so more than 10 years, but I have some gap year because I have to study in Bandung.
Okay.
Ah, okay.
So, but as soon as I come back to Jakarta, I plunge myself into this community directly.
But speaking of members, you mentioned members. How many people actually in this community?
So for the registered members that we currently have is maybe about 90. It consists of the older generations and also the new generations. We have the one that are the youngest are 10 years old.
10 years old?
Yes, 10 years old.
Wow, okay.
And some of them will become maybe gold medalists in Olympiads, or maybe study abroad because they go to the meetings regularly. And the oldest that we have is, I think, is 70 years old. And yeah, we are open to all ages, so you can see different backgrounds in our members.
And this is interesting because you mentioned 10 years old. So how do you keep up and manage the communication through your community to the youngsters? How do you do that?
We have various activities that is suited for every age group, of course. For example, we have bi-weekly meetings where we discuss about specific topics in astronomy, but we also have activities such as Astro Kids that is more suited to the younger participants, and also sometimes we also go to school to collaborate with the school doing the observations as a star party.
Yes, but one more thing. We don't really differentiate between the younger and the older one. So we gave them a chance also to learn telescopes. This big telescope, they can also learn with guidance and with their parents, and they can join our star party, maybe get some to camping and somewhere outside Jakarta. They can,
Yes.
and we just make them like our own peers. So
Right.
that's where they got really interested and having questions and anything that might not be thinkable for a young age like that.
So camping is one of the star parties event, or you have another type of party? I just want to know.
And I love I love how you call it star
Star
party,
party,
because
yeah.
Okay.
of course you were looking at the stars, which of course here in Jakarta it's very difficult to find stars, but you're holding a party for us to see.
Yes, so Star Party in our is our program that we usually held like outdoor activities, outdoor camping and observations. As you say, it's very difficult to do that in Jakarta, but so we try to see other places. Like for example, in the early this year, we have done them in the Kepulauan Seribu, and also recently, just several weeks ago, we've done that in Tanjung Lesung in Banten. And we usually done several others in maybe Bogor or Bandung. So we arrange them. We get some of them are for members only, but some of them also are public. And we usually hold them for 100 people, public. And yeah, that's where the fun started, with the observation, with the storytelling, and the games also. And if we have pools, we have some pool parties maybe.
Okay, so
Very
it's
dynamic. Love it.
all the fun elements put into one. But you mentioned before, because there's also a telescope here in the studio that we can actually use during the party. So can you please tell us regarding the elements, what do we need in order for us to be able to collaborate or probably take part in the discussion regarding the astronomy?
Yeah.
Because of course, do we have to have our own telescope? Do we have to have our own devices? Because I remember back in my days and our days, I believe, all we see is the picture of the planets probably from our picture books,
Yeah.
right? But now with the gadgets, are there any other ways that we can keep track of the planets, also stars?
I think the most important thing when you want to join our community is that you have the eagerness to learn astronomy. Even if you don't have telescopes and you don't really know astronomy at the start of your membership,
Yes.
it's fine, because one of the perks of joining our member is that you can have the access to our own telescopes and the time to join our meetings, to discuss. And as long as you have and gain and grow your interest in astronomy, we will be open to all of you. And yeah, and basically that's it. So you don't have to worry about do we have to have another
Buy
telescope,
telescope.
buy telescope, buy binoculars, or maybe learn something in several years, maybe. Yeah. So.
Do you share the images? I mean, sometimes there are images captured. I mean, looking at the stars, looking at the astronomical, because it changes from time to time as well. Do you keep track of the changes? Do you save the images and share with your members as well?
For some events, we do, like the solar eclipse or the moon eclipse. Those special occasions, we always do public observations, and we capture the eclipse as well. So there are phases in eclipse, right? And sometimes we gather the image and we can see how the eclipse works.
Yes.
And we share them to the public.
And do
in
you have
our
an
social
app
media.
for that, like to be accessible, for example, what your activities and all?
Oh, so we are open in our Instagram, our social media. So we share our activities and also our pictures that we have. Sometimes some of our members are eager to share their own results of the observation to the public. So we make them online as also offline. So because in several meetings we have we will show then promote the pictures that our members have.
Through Instagram or social medias?
In Instagram and social medias.
All right, so if I'm not mistaken, so experts must verify each astronomical discovery. So does it apply in your community as well?
Currently, we don't have any maybe any aspiration on that because it's really difficult because you may correlate it with the finding of new stars or asteroids in which you might need some advanced instruments. But we, as an amateur astronomy, can also contribute to the scientific community by giving them like a secondary proofing for the discovery that they have. For example, like the variable stars observations and maybe some comet sightings. We as amateur astronomy can complement the data that the professional astronomers have.
Okay, and this is something that I'm also very curious about because, of course, you are a community who loves astronomy, you go to star parties, but the uniforms that you are wearing right now, your name is Nanda and also Rezky, but now you have Regulus and also Al-Nair. Can you please tell us more? Do you have your own names? Do you choose it, or how does it work?
Oh yeah, or sometimes we, the members, identifies ourselves with the star. So for myself, it is called Regulus, which happens to be the brightest star in the Leo constellation. And it is quite arbitrary, so we can choose the favorite star that we like.
So you keep that among your
That is yours.
members?
That's your personal.
Yes, that's the unique identification in our community. So
okay.
you can choose like a constellation or maybe stars or maybe other objects to be your own name or field name, as we call it.
A field name, and your name is Al-Nair.
Al-Nair.
Which is?
Al-Nair is, if you translate it directly from Arabic, it's the bright one. And it's the brightest stars in the Gru constellation, and also one of the brightest that you can see in the southern sky.
Ooh, interesting. That's so fun. And speaking of fun, probably out there, Tommy, and probably my kid also wants to join in. How young can one be to join your community? Because you mentioned
10 years old, yeah.
That's very young.
We don't have any limitations on that because as long as you go with your parents, you maybe as a kindergarten, you can also join us.
As long as your parents are
Yes.
ready to accompany you throughout the event.
Because we also need the help of the parents
Of course,
to guide their children to really understand our program.
Okay.
Okay, is there any inspiring celestial event you faced so far?
Take a breath. There you go.
So celestial events.
Yeah.
So my favorite one is something called gravitational wave events.
Okay.
So my favorite object in the sky happened to be a black hole.
Okay.
Yeah, and when a black hole merges with other objects, for example, a neutron star or other black holes, they can generate a type of wave, which is a gravitational wave, which we can detect with something called gravitational wave detector. So I think the first event was in 2015, and it was like the event that sort of confirms the Einstein's theory of relativity.
And what does it show? Is it like a graph or something? Or?
Yeah, we can always visualize them as a graph. So like the frequency of the rotation of the objects.
I see. How about you?
So I'm maybe a little bit simpler than him. So I think one of the most important celestial phenomenon to be seen by me is the solar eclipse of 2016, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you might remember that because when I'm still a student in the ITB, and I got sent to the Kalimantan to see the totality of the eclipse, and it was very wonderful to see the effect of the eclipse directly when the air getting cold, and maybe around you birds are stopped flying, and people are celebrating because this is one of the most important or maybe significant event in our world of astronomy in Indonesia, because last time it's like 80s, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really important because that also marks the beginning of the growing interest in astronomy for the public, I think.
Okay, speaking of public's interest in astronomy, as we can see now, there are so many space exploration initiatives. For example, the Mars mission, and also how we can see that there's also someone who is still up there in space awaiting to be picked up later in February, right? And from your point of view, how does this spark the interest of the public's towards astronomy? Especially there's also the possibility for us regular everyday people, non-astronauts, to actually be able to travel to space one day. What about from you?
The way I see it, like the space travel, I think it sparks people interest because we've been living our life on Earth, and as I've mentioned before, some people are interested in the outer space because we doesn't know. We don't know.
Very mysterious to us.
Yeah, that's true. So I think the possibility of traveling to the space will probably sparks interest to more people, and yeah, I think hopefully it motivates them to study, especially for children.
Especially
Astronomy,
with their community as well,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
with the pictures, images, and as you mentioned before, findings, we can unravel the mysteries. And what about you, from your point of view?
Yeah, I think because this is really interesting because it relates to our nature to be a discoverer, to be a pioneer, and to found something different and something new. And when we say that maybe several years ago we are not dreamed to go land in Mars or maybe going space travels. So if that's happened with the advancement of technology that we have today, it will spark the interest. It will spark the also criticism on how do this affect our life, maybe in terms of like budgetary or priorities. But this is a really important debate to have. So we can see that science is still improving, and science is still contributing to the society as we speak and in the future.
Yeah, and the sky is also infinite, so there's no boundaries to the space.
Yes.
Yes, and we've been engaging with movies about sci-fi and everything and correlating with all these theory. But last questions. What is your goal as astronomer specifically? You can go first.
Oof, okay, so as an amateur astronomer, I hope that I can popularize astronomy, especially to motivate children and the public to be interested in science, because even though astronomy is about space, but we need other people that, for example, create the rockets and study for example, the atmosphere of planets. So hopefully, HAAJ and our members can also motivate the participants to get interested to science.
All right, how about you?
Yeah, so my background is the computational astronomy, and from that I learned many things about how the logic works and how we can simulate universe maybe in our hands, in our computers. And maybe my near goals is to popularizing them with the maybe children, maybe the young adults in our nearest society in Jakarta and maybe in Indonesia, because it's really a new way to learn astronomy through the computer, through the technology, and as Nanda said before, it will spark interest in technologies that might support the space explorations in the future.
Okay, interesting. And one of the ways as we can also look forward to is joining in the Star Party, which we
Exactly.
can also find more information on your Instagram page at HAAJ.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much, guys. Fernanda and Rezky, thank you so much for being here. And of course, we would love to discuss again in the future,
Yes.
especially about astronomy. But again, thank you. So now let's take a break. When we return, we'll have more interesting stories for you. So stay tuned only on See Today.